Hello.
Didn't think. See, there was none of that then.
No.
You didn't think, oh, well, what about my rights? So I
Yeah.
just thought, I want the job. It was like really good
Because
money.
you had a long summer skirt on that day, didn't you?
Yeah, I said, yeah, I'll wear a short skirt. I should, okay. And she said, and would you be willing, she said,
Yes.
would you be willing to lay a napkin in a man's lap?
Cocktails.
And
Cocktail waitress. There you go.
Hello.
Daddy, I love him.
Mother thanks you.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
hello and welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And today we're going to be talking to you all about jobs. Getting jobs.
Jobs.
Yeah.
Shit getting jobs, isn't it, Liz?
No, it's really good getting
Is
jobs.
it? Really good getting jobs.
There's been a lot of talk in our household lately because, well, it's coming up to Christmas. Sonny hasn't got any money. Tess is coming home, so she's going to be trying to juggle her job and keep paying her rent while she's at home.
Right.
So I don't know, it's just been one of those weeks that all we seem to be talking about is jobs. Like, oh, have
Money.
you been for that job? And how did you get on with that job? And then Tessa phoning us up and saying, oh, I'm going to talk to my job about getting some holiday pay. And do you think I could? Mind you, she made me laugh the other day. Do you know what she said?
No, go on.
She said, I've just found out that I'm entitled to sick pay. So she said, so what I'm going to do over Christmas is I'm just going to claim all my sick pay. I said, well, it doesn't really work.
Doesn't
really
that,
work
does it?
like
Yeah.
that. I said, you're only entitled to sick pay if you're sick.
If you're sick, yeah. And that's what people don't understand. It's like, well, I get holiday pay and I get sick pay. And it's like, well, yeah, but you've got to be sick. You need to go to the doctors and get a note to say, I'm not very well.
It came to our attention the other day when we were
Kicking my
talking
mic stand.
about jobs. A thing came up on the internet. You know, when you're on the internet and it flashes up, the news thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And get this is a weird story about a woman that goes for a job interview in Australia.
Yeah.
They're all
things
weird in
happen,
Australia,
yeah.
I
Well,
know.
they're not all weird. But
They are. Weird things happen there, don't they?
yeah.
I didn't say Australians are weird. I said everything weird happens.
In Australia.
Remember that person that got the dingo, took the baby?
I know. That's a long time ago, though.
I know it was.
Rock and all that.
But it still plays on my mind, that, Bri.
And everyone goes there hoping to find the baby.
I know, poor thing.
weird.
But anyway, yeah. Do you know what happened with that?
Who knows? That's
No.
what the story is.
Oh, is
It's
it?
like what they say: dead men don't tell lies.
Oh, I don't know.
So
anyway,
if there's no witnesses, it's what took it a dingo. Oh,
yeah,
right, okay.
yeah. Anyway, so it comes up on the news that this woman went for a job interview, talking about jobs.
Yeah.
This woman went for a job interview at Aldi. You know Aldi or Aldi?
Aldi is supermarket.
A big supermarket.
Yeah, it was the budget brand at one time, but it's just getting bigger and bigger, isn't it? Because it still is a bit budgety.
Yeah. Anyway, she goes for this job interview in Aldi.
Yeah.
And the job interviewer person
In
Australia. And the job interview person says, okay, we'll do a Zoom
What was the job for?
stacking shelves in Aldi.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or just working in the supermarket,
Yeah.
like maybe on the till or stacking shelves.
Yeah.
Don't really know, so I'm making that bit up. But anyway, it was something physical that you needed to do in the supermarket, right?
Take the money daily takings out.
So she goes for the job interview and it's on Zoom.
Right.
Has the Zoom interview,
Yeah.
just everything going along nicely, asking her normal questions.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the person who's holding the interview
Yeah.
said, okay, I'd like you to just do some physical things for us now. I'd like you to do a few star jumps
Nice.
and some sit-ups and some push-ups. Now, it's all over the internet, this now, Bri.
Yeah, but it
because
would be.
obviously I know about this sort of stuff.
Yeah, but they're a bit health fanatic, aren't they, in Australia at times? Like,
Well, here's the
think
thing.
they're good.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Do you think, because the internet now is
Yeah.
split in half.
Right.
Half of them are saying, what's wrong with that? She needs to be physically fit. What's wrong with that?
But
The other half are saying,
Mm-hmm.
do-gooders, really.
yeah.
Oh, it's a violation of rights and, it's not right because that's just not right. So which camp are you in?
Well, off the bat, straight away, I'm going to say it's not right unless it says it in the interview description.
Oh,
So if it said it in the interview description, you must be physically fit and be able to do in the interview star jumps and press ups. You can train then, can't you? Eh?
yeah, but she
You can
didn't
shed
know.
a few pounds.
She didn't know. She wasn't
I
told
know,
it
but
was.
so it's completely and utterly wrong.
Oh, you think it's wrong, do you?
I think it's very wrong.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh. See,
Yeah.
I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I thought, and? So what?
But because it's not right, that's why. Because if that's not in the interview, the interview description. Do you know what?
What would you do, right? What would you do, right?
Go on.
If you went for a job on a building site,
Yeah.
right, as a plumber, and they asked you all your qualifications and stuff,
Yeah.
and then they said to you, okay, and this is on Zoom.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, Brian, can you just do me a favour, please? Can you just take your shirt off and just flex your muscles and
Yeah.
let's see how muscle
You have to find them first.
But what would you feel offended by?
If it was to flex your muscles, yes, because again, you don't have to be physically strong to work on a building site. It helps.
Well, you do.
No, if you're a tradie and your trade is to do that, if it's a bricklayer, you don't need to be strong to be a bricklayer because you're lifting bricks. They're not very big, are they? But the other side of it, when you're a labourer, you've got to lift bags of cement and you've got to lift sand and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I could think that type of job, yes, you've got to be physically fit, but you'd go and do a trial. And that's where it's wrong, is do the interviews and then bring them into the store to do a little trial. Now, can you do your press-ups and sit-ups? And I don't know why they're stacking shelves, because really you're not allowed to lift anything heavier than...
Oh,
I don't know,
why
about
aren't
20,
you? Why?
Because you're not allowed to lift anything more.
What do you mean you're not allowed? Who says that?
Health and safety.
Well, that's what I mean. It's rubbish.
Yeah.
What about going
But
down the
why is
coal
it
pit?
rubbish?
Because it is.
No, because...
What about when you used to work down the coal pit?
Well,
do you really think those young lads humping coal on the donkeys were saying, hang on, let me finish?
Yeah.
How do you think they would have felt? They're not going to say, excuse me, health and safety, I'm not allowed to lift this coal.
But yes, then it wasn't. But that's when health and safety's come in. What's the reason for health and safety, Liz?
I don't know.
There
Just
you go.
to moan about things. And
It's so you go home safe. That's what you don't go to work to
the job
injure
doesn't
yourself.
get done. And do you know what's happened?
No, but it does.
AI.
No, let's get ChatGPT to let's get them to lift.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's what's happening.
And this is what's happening in the world.
That's what's happening, though, isn't it? Because what is that cyborg that they've made, which can stack shelves and can lift more than 25 kilograms?
I know, but can you see my point?
No, yeah, but I can't in one way, but I can being involved. I mean, years ago when I were a lad. And this is back in the 70s, and a bag of cement weighed 110 pounds, which was around about 50 odd kilos, about 50 kilos, just under 50 kilos. Now the health and safety turned around and said these bags of cement are too heavy, so they cut them in half, as in that they weighed half the amount.
That's not good for the environment, then, is it?
Yeah, but that
more
was
paper, more cement.
But that was the thing. Is like you go on a building site back then, and can you lift 2 bags of cement? Because you need to lift one up under each arm. So you now got 220 pounds of weight and walk across a trench to the...
But that's what you do when you work on a building site. You're a big man.
But if you fell over, you could seriously hurt, and then you can't work for 6 weeks and no sick pay because you haven't been working for long enough. So that's where it works. Yeah,
I know, but
I've been on building sites where guys have lost their fingers on saws.
Oh, I know that, and I know that is at the extremes. I get it.
Yeah,
I get that you shouldn't be, working on saws without any safety gear and all that.
Yeah,
but saying, I don't know, it's just like, all they were doing is saying, are you physically fit? Let's have a look at you then. Give us a few star jumps.
Yeah, but if it's not in the job description.
Oh, I don't know. Well, do you know what?
Was the lady a little bit overweight or man a little bit overweight?
I have no idea. I don't know, but does it matter?
Or person?
There's loads of overweight people that are really fit.
I'm not saying that, yeah. I used to work with Mike, my business partner. He was overweight, but he would crawl in the houses and stuff and he do a good day's work. Honest.
Anyway, so we'll just agree to disagree on that, because personally I think that, if we're going to start doing stuff like this and getting offended easily and we won't lift this and we won't lift that, then all they're going to do is go, well, I'll tell you what, love, don't bother, we'll get a machine to do it. So there you go, you haven't got a job now.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like this, wouldn't you? Oh, please. Oh, no, I've changed my mind. I will do the star jumps. Look how many push-ups I can do.
How much are you paying again?
Well, anyway, so I Googled what to do and, like the weird things that have happened.
Yeah.
This one woman said that she went for an interview. She walked into the room with the woman that was interviewing her.
Yeah.
And they sat down in the office and the woman said, if you're wondering what that funny smell is, I've got a yeast infection. I'm awfully sorry.
Nice. The interviewer?
Said it to the person that was being interviewed.
Oh, my God.
I know.
I've got a bit of a yeast infection.
Yeah, if you're wondering what that smell is, I've got a yeast infection.
No.
Isn't that just gross?
No, that's pretty disgusting.
It is, isn't it, Bri?
We can jump in the shower, love.
Well, that wouldn't cure it, but yeah.
No, it's not the point.
I know. That's a bit weird. You wouldn't want to work there. And then this one just made me laugh. So it said, I had a job interview for McDonald's and I got there early. I had a look around because I was feeling restless. I opened a door and ended up in the kitchen, which was empty. I walked around and passed a little tray of chicken nuggets. And I thought I'd help myself to a
But
couple.
you did. Yeah.
But he's waiting in the job interview.
Oh,
He's
right,
not there
okay.
yet.
Yeah.
It's early, arrived early.
All right.
Anyway, he leaves the kitchen and suddenly the manager appears. He reaches for his hand, the one that was holding the chicken nugget. So the guy slips the chicken nugget in his suit pocket and shakes the manager's hand.
Yeah.
He led me into his office. He closed the door and there was a long pause. He looked me in the eye and said, "Did you just steal a chicken nugget from the kitchen?" Because it was Australia.
That's more from New Zealand.
Oh, yeah, well, it was New Zealand, though. One of them. I looked uncomfortable and didn't respond. And he said, "I think you should go, mate."
Really? That was my plain lunch.
Oh, it just made me laugh.
Only in Australia.
I made me laugh that. Can you imagine that?
I know, but why did he bother taking a chicken nugget?
Because he was hungry.
Yeah, but it's not
Oh,
his.
don't start your bloody little do-gooder thing now.
Yeah, but it's not his.
I know it's not his, but it's a McDonald's chicken nugget.
Oh, right.
And he was waiting.
I mean, yeah, but you're not allowed to eat their food, you see.
What?
It could have been special stuff on the side that wasn't fit for human consumption.
Well, it was fit for human consumption, wasn't it? But he just shouldn't have nicked it.
Mind that microphone. Have you finished with that iPad now?
Yes, I'm putting it away because
There
you
we
just
go.
annoy me now because you're being all goody two-shoes. Go on then, tell me your story about when you went for a job interview. It better be funny after I've
It's
waited
not
all
funny,
this time.
but
It better be.
it's cringe. It was so cringeable, but you probably might just think it was a little bit funny. Well, what it was, I was going for we'd been travelling and we'd come back and it was a bit of a recession in the UK. It was around about 1991 or 2 or something like that. Maybe 91. And we'd been travelling in France and stuff and, we were heading back to the UK and it was just like, right, it was coming up to Christmas and I went to the job centre. Remember the job centre?
Yeah.
And there it was, just this little shining card, one job in the plumbing department area type thing. And it was for a maintenance engineer.
Mm.
And
Got a lot of posh words, haven't they, for plumbers?
yeah, they do. Yeah, but it was
Energy
it was a
management engineer.
maintenance engineer, because it was mainly heating systems that were going to be looking
Right.
after for the county councils, but it was a company that had the contract to do that. And it was apparently a national company called Planned Maintenance.
Mm.
And so the interview was in Plymouth, which is a 50-mile drive. So I sent my little sort of CV in and phoned him up and said, "Oh, you come in for an interview." And there's me thinking, oh, it's a national company, so, better, spruce myself up a little bit. So I drive all the way to Plymouth and get there for 7:30 in the morning. And I've got the address. And it's some like Alexander Road in Plymouth, and I'm driving down, I'm thinking, I can't see an office. There's me thinking, like the one in London, big office, big sort of place. Where is it? And I drove up and down the road about 3 times. And then all of a sudden I saw these shitty little vans turning up, like hand-me-down vans from London or whatever it was, because they're all battered and just dirty and horrible and everything, And I'm thinking, well, where are they all going? And it was just to a house with no sign above it, just the number. Oh. And I'm like, oh, geez. So I pull over and park up, and I thought, I'm not going in just yet. I'll let them come in, because it's Monday morning, and they're going to be coming in with their timesheets and all that sort of stuff, and they were all just dressed like binmen.
Really?
Yeah, like all that.
Not allowed to say that anymore.
Like boiler suits.
Refuse workers.
Yeah, but boiler suits and stuff and high vis and stuff, but just look like they'd been to the Greasy Spoon. That type of person, real working class sort of guys, not that I wasn't, but I get out, I'm in a van, and my van's got my old company name on it. It was Southwest Heating and Plumbing. Mm. And I get out the van, and I'm dressed in an Italian designer suit with padded shoulders, because it was just after the 80s, a Matinique Italian suit. Not only that, I had a padded
crotch
suit jacket, a suit coat, a big long coat.
Yeah.
And dressed and probably shiny shoes, knowing me back then, all very 80s look. And I'm just like,
why did you wear that?
I don't know, because it was a job interview. I just wanted to, that's the only suit I had.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I just looked like I'd just come out, I don't know, going to the theatre or something.
Onto
or going
a nightclub.
I should have been picking up the Wall Street Journal sort of thing,
Yeah.
And I'm now walking down this shitty road thinking, and I got to the door and I turned round and went back and put my coat in And so I'm just now walking in a suit because I just thought this is just overkill. Like, you
Yeah.
know? So anyway, I walk in and there's two girls sitting like on a makeshift reception desk it was like an office because it had been converted obviously from a house to a bit of an office. And these two girls just looked at me and their mouths just dropped open.
I bet they bloody
Because
did.
it's like, and they just said, "Oh, right, they thought I was a rep or something like, you know." And I was just like, "Oh, I'm just here for a job interview." And they just looked at me as if like, "You can go and sit over there with them if you want, because that's where you're going to have to sit until the manager turns up." Oh, it was just the most embarrassing thing. You know, I'm just sitting there thinking, "Oh, what am I doing here?"
Yeah. I thought you were going to tell me they'd asked you to do star jumps or something.
No, but then I had to go in and this wasn't in the job interview. I had to take a test there and then.
I thought you were going to say you'd have to take your clothes off then.
Honestly, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life because you were just like put on the spot and it was like a full-blown test, like, you know, of what's the combustion figures for an oil boiler? What should they ideally be? And, you know, you just think, oh, God, it's like, you know, carbon dioxide should be, 13%? You know, the O2 should be about...
They should have just turned around to you and said, "Listen, mate, what's with the suit?"
But honestly, they looked at me and they were almost laughing. There's two managers. And it was as if like, what are you coming here for? Like, you know? And
was it good money?
it was £800 a week or something
That's
like that
all right.
back then, which
Bloody
I
hell,
can't remember.
are you sure it was
I think
that much?
it was about that, but after tax, it was, you ended up with about £500 or something like
That's
that.
good.
Maybe not 500, was it? Well, whatever it was. It
Yeah,
wasn't,
I was gonna say, I don't know if it's
no,
that much.
no, it wasn't. It was £1,000 a month.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, it
Not
was
£800 a week.
£1,000, and I used to get about 800 after tax. So it was like £200 a week.
So did they give you the job because of the way you looked?
Yes, I got the job.
Well, there you go then.
But it's the most incringeable thing. I still sweat about it now
you?
because you were like walking into with everyone just dressed completely different, boiler suits to a flipping Italian designer suit. You know, it was just with
right.
padded shoulders.
You should have just gone, you should have stripped down. You'd have been better, actually, stripping down to your flipping underpants.
Yeah, I
or,
would-
you just
honestly-
trousers and bare chest.
Yeah, but I could have just taken the suit jacket off, but it was it was December, so it was freezing
okay.
outside, and I could have just taken my tie. I had a tie and everything, like, you know. I could have just done that, opened my shirt, and I just would have had black trousers and tie.
Yeah, you should have just
You
done
know,
that.
it was just not tight, you know.
Just open shirt.
Open shirt, yeah.
But you were just all panicking.
It was just because it was getting later and later, and I was like, oh my God, I've got to be there for 10 to 8 or whatever it was,
Yeah.
like, you know.
You
But
forget,
anyway,
don't you?
you
You
know.
forget what it's like to when you've worked. Like we've been self-employed for flipping years and years, haven't we?
Yeah.
Because I was trying to think before when
You
we
know,
were
because I was
starting the
self-employed, so I said I
podcast.
had my own company van, but it was just, there was no workaround.
It's hard to know what they're expecting, what employers want from you,
Yeah.
how to, present yourself.
But dress code for the interview, then tell them what to wear. Some places do, like, you know.
But you know what? It's better not to.
I know,
Because
but
then you can have a good old laugh when the plumber turns up
yeah.
in his flipping Armani suit, can't you?
I know.
It was,
you would,
it
though.
wouldn't have been Armani.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was a Martinique, which Martinique back then was like, that was the real 80s sort
Was
of
it?
look. Like, you know, it was just like Italian design. Yeah, made in Italy. And you're like, wow.
Do you know what? I was thinking about, when we got the job as the ski host and the chalet host.
Yeah.
There was an article in the paper saying ski company in Canada looking for high quality chefs, experienced chefs. Come and live in Canada and work in our wonderful chalets. And it was a really upmarket company. And the interview, I applied for it and just said, "Oh yeah, we've worked here, because you could never check.
No, you couldn't.
You could ask for references.
There was internet, but it was just.
there wasn't.
There was, because I remember I had the computer. But
Well, no one used it,
You
Bri.
tended to fax people things, and the computer had a modem that you could fax people.
Either that or we were just flipping hard-faced. I
bet
mean, I don't know how we had the nerve to do that.
Yeah.
We went to that interview in that really posh hotel in London. Do you remember?
Yeah.
She ordered high tea for us and everything.
Yeah. Was it called the Windsor or something?
No, it's called not the Highgate.
It was just off Regent Street, wasn't
yeah,
it?
it's a really, really nice
With the big
hotel.
flags outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Highgrove.
I don't know. It was really
Yeah.
posh anyway. And we went, she was a lovely, lovely woman. And we
She was.
went and she's like, "So what's your experience?" And we just said, "Oh, we've worked abroad.
Yeah.
We've
Plumbing.
worked in France." him, he's got a really nice suit, him. And we're like, "Yes, we've worked in restaurants in Greece." Like, don't tell her it's a taverna, that was just rubbish. We've worked in France. And yeah, we've worked in this restaurant in Newquay in Cornwall. And that was that's the story we'd love to tell people. is it was my mum's phone number. And we said to Mum, if anyone phones you in the next 3 weeks, you have to answer the phone and say, hello, Shai Khan Restaurant.
Yeah.
I said, and just pretend that you're a restaurant and you employed us. And she did.
I know.
She was like, oh, yes, listen, Brian, have worked for me.
I'm going to call those people one night this week. Everybody get off the phone. Nobody picked the phone up apart from your mum.
But we went to that interview in London and we sat there and we flipping bluffed it. I mean, we could cook and we were good hosts because obviously we know people and we've had dinner parties.
Well, I did grow up in a hotel, but it wasn't the same cooking as Cordon Bleu, was it?
You grew up in a hotel.
I did.
It's flipping, what's it?
Doesn't matter. It was a
Faulty
hotel.
Towers?
Yeah, well, there you go. They had a chef.
Anyway, it wasn't Faulty Towers, but I'm not even going to go there
Basil
with the story.
Stibble and Manuel the waiter. Could have been Bride. I did have a good moustache back then.
But yeah, we bluffed our way through it and we got the job and we had flights to Canada. We had this, we stayed in this chalet in Whistler and it was like a dream come true, wasn't it, Brian?
It was the dream job, especially we'd spent the summer on the beach in Greece.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be working.
This lovely lady who interviewed us.
But we didn't.
This lovely lady who interviewed us, she said, what we'll do is your chalet is going to be empty for the first 3 weeks. So what we want you to do is get to the chalet, clean it all. I'll fly over and you can cook for me then and just demonstrate what kind of food you're going to be cooking. And I was flipping dreading it.
It was.
I was dreading it. I thought, oh my God. So there we were, weren't we, on the plane with all the cookbooks and all the cookery magazines. What can we cook?
What should we do? What's easy?
And when we got there, because she owned 5 chalets and she'd employed 5 couples, hadn't she?
Yeah, she had,
And luckily, all the other couples weren't liars like us. They were all professional chefs.
They all worked as chefs and things in different companies. Yeah.
And we got talking to this one guy from Scotland. He was called Kenny. And he just said, I don't think we admitted to him that we weren't
we didn't.
Chefs.
No.
But we said, oh, do you know what? We're racking our brains for something to cook tonight. And he said, oh, if you want to cook something, just cook it nice and easy with the chicken and the blue cheese sauce and the bacon. And we were like, oh, yeah, how do you do that? And he went, oh, just wrap a chicken breast and a bit of bacon and just melt some blue cheese and some cream and pour it over. And we were like, oh, my God, that's genius.
It was.
And we served it. We served that meal. It was a chicken breast wrapped in this streaky bacon. And all we did was melted a pack of blue cheese and cream together and then poured it over and made some little roast potatoes and green beans, didn't we, Brian? Yeah. She was so impressed with that. Yeah. She said, this is the nicest chicken I've ever tasted.
Best meal I've had today.
So it just goes to show.
It does.
And we went on to learn on the job. Every person that came to stay with us, we had the head chef from the Houses of Commons come and stay there.
Yeah, and he loved it, didn't he? He gave us a brilliant reference, didn't he?
Yeah. And we got to know him, and he was the one that said, you guys need to go on and do something together because you're just a great team. And everything worked out. And it was all brilliant because we just learnt as we went. And I just think sometimes you have got to just bluff in interviews, haven't you?
But you have. I mean, if it comes down to star jumps, did that person do the star jumps? You just got to be, but you can't really bluff it on a Zoom, can you? But you can bluff it, on your CV.
Yeah.
I mean, CVs.
What?
when I were a lad, you never had a CV. What was a flipping CV?
Well, you do. Everyone has a CV, some form of CV.
Yeah, but nowadays it's like so important to get your CV right, isn't it? Like, and you just think,
Oh, Brian, do you remember when we lived in London? Just before we lied to get the job in Canada. And I wanted to be in musical theatre and I wanted to go and get a job as doing something creative, singing, not working in Canada, making chicken wrapped in bacon.
Proper job.
And there was this advert in the paper. Do you remember? And it said, jazz singer needed, must sing like Enya. And at the time, we loved Enya, me and you. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And we were always listening to it. And I said, I think I'll go for this job. I said, how hard can it be to sing like Enya? Because all she does is this. She just wails, doesn't she?
I believe it's like Enya in the room.
I know it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
The resemblance was uncanny, wasn't it, right?
It was.
So I applied for this job in London. Like, I phoned up the number and the thing. And I spoke to him and he said, so can you sing like Enya? And I said, yeah, I can. He went, all right, come round tomorrow then and I'll give you an interview. You dropped me off. Do you remember?
Yes.
You let me go into that house in London. I had no mobile phone. Don't look confused.
Yeah, I'm getting mixed up with the other bar as well.
No,
it wasn't a bar. This was just someone's house.
This was someone's house.
Yeah.
And I never forget. I went up this flight of stairs. I mean, he was a nice guy, but I didn't know that.
Could have been a killer.
He could have been anyone, Bri.
He could, yeah.
And I went upstairs and I never forget. We went in his front room. He had this little flat in the middle of London. I just remember it had big sash windows and it was all quite arty and there was lots of music stuff around. And he said, yeah, I'm recording this album and I need some backing singers and I'm like interviewing people who can sing like Enya.
Yeah.
There's no way I could sing like Enya, but I just bluffed it again. And he goes, do you need to go in the bathroom and get ready? And I was like, no.
Yeah. Why do you need to put something on?
And he said...
Get me Celtic Colocon.
He said, okay. He said, I'll just set up the recording thing. And he got his recording thing out. I went, okay, then he said, just go for it. Just show me what you can do. Yeah. I started singing. Do you know what he said?
Get out.
He went, okay, that's enough. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
I haven't warmed up yet. Can I just go and warm up in the bathroom?
I might do some star jumps for you. Yeah, and that was one of those times that I was so het up thinking, you know, will I get the job? That it didn't cross my mind to think I'm sat in a flat. My boyfriend's gone and left me.
Yeah.
I haven't got a mobile phone. Plus, I can't sing like Enya.
I remember the other job that you went for in London as well, when it was like, right, I dropped you at the bar. And you were thinking, oh, it's just going to go and be a waitress at the bar.
I knew there was something else that I had to talk about.
That was a bit weird.
Oh my God, that was it. You know, when I said to you earlier, I am sure there has been a weird experience in job interviews.
I think
You've just reminded me.
Yeah, that one, I think, because that was a bit rude, wasn't it, really, actually?
It was very rude. Right, I'll just tell the story and then we'll go. But we were in London. Yeah. All this happens everything happens in London. London's
London
weird.
And Australia. And Australia. You'd have to say like that.
Australia, and Australia. Just weird. But yeah, I was in London and I'd applied for this job as a cocktail bar waitress.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
And
just thinking it's going to be a cocktail waitress.
Well, obviously. That's what it says. And went for the interview and the woman who was interviewing me said, okay, so what experience have you had? And I said, God, I've done loads of bar work and stuff.
Yeah,
and
hospitality.
Worked in France, worked in Greece, done everything.
Done everything, mate. Shit restaurant in Greece. That was a nice restaurant, that Taverna. It's gorgeous.
I know it was, but it wasn't exactly a la carte, was it?
Oh, I don't know, fried fish. What's wrong with that?
A bit of feta on some tomatoes and a bit of olive oil.
Yeah, it was Greek.
Anyway, going back to my London thing, and she said, okay, right, so you seem to have all the skills. What I'd like to ask you now is, would you be willing to wear a very short skirt to work at night? And I went, yeah, sure, yeah. Thinking, okay, well...
Yeah. How short?
Well, I didn't even ask because I thought, well, this was the 1980s. No,
yeah.
What year would that have been?
It was like 1991 or something like that. Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, fair enough. Okay. Didn't think... See, there was none of that then. No. You didn't think, oh, well, what about my rights? So I just thought, I want the job. It was like really good money.
Because you had a long summer skirt on that day, didn't you?
Yeah, I said, I'll wear a short skirt. I should, okay. And she said, and would you be willing, she said...
Yes.
Would you be willing to lay a napkin in a man's lap?
Cocktails.
And
cocktail waitress. There you go. It's in the description.
Oh, Brian, you're such an idiot. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
There you go.
Well, maybe that's why then.
And not only that, I believe she said...
They were bloody advertising for hookers, Brian.
It was because...
Yeah, they wanted me to be a hooker.
Because they said to you, do you mind sitting with the guests?
I know they did.
I'm sure they will. See?
Yeah. She said, would you... First of all, she must have been taking it in steps. Okay, will you wear a short skirt? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
will you wear a short skirt? Yes. Will you lay the napkin on the man's... will you lay the cocktail napkin on the man's lap? Yes. And then she said, if a man wanted to go further with you for extra money, would you do it? Oh, I don't believe that.
Yeah. But
How could I have been so naive?
Yeah, because it was just like more being a person. Well, you just not a lady of the night, but it was not far off.
I think you were one of those call girl things, extra services.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But I
just said I can sing Enya.
Yeah.
I'll make a lovely chicken breast in blue cheese sauce. That'd send them running, wouldn't it, Brian?
Wouldn't it, hey? Yeah.
So yes, that's all the things about the job. So yeah, jobs. That's all we've been talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, so leave us a comment and let us know what your jobs are, or email us and give us your funny ones, and we could read some out, couldn't we?
Yeah, that would be really funny if you have got a job thing
Weird
that you
job
want us
interviews.
to read out.
Yeah.
I love it in the comments, especially when people are watching or listening on YouTube and they leave their thing in the comments and just let people know. But yeah, just email us, Liz at It's a Drama or Brian at It's a Drama.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about email, don't forget that I have a weekly free newsletter called the Front Row Newsletter. And the reason it's called the Front Row is because you get to see and hear about everything that's going on the stage, in this stage of life.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a fabulous newsletter. It's absolutely free. The very first email that you get includes a video of me reading my book, the chapter of my first book, on the toilet. So that's very interesting. But no, it's a fabulously brilliant and honest and real newsletter that I love to write and I love to share. So if you would love to be part of that, I would love to have you. And you can go to www.itsadrama.com/front row. I will leave it in the description below as well. So yes.
Yeah, so that's our wrap up for the year, really, isn't it, Liz?
It is,
for
Brian.
2023 and back in 2024.
Yeah.
Got a couple of weeks off, bit of Christmas celebrations, New Year and everything. Tess coming home you probably get an interview with Tess, maybe, even,
Yeah, it'd be
something
nice
like
to
that,
chat
just
to
to
her.
see a catch up where she is after.
And hopefully we can
a
bring
year
you
away.
some good news about Sonny. Maybe Sonny's going to have some
some
job.
stories.
I think we can ask him for rent then.
Defo.
Yeah, I reckon by.
Yeah, that money, that money
not
you
right,
thought
is
you were
it?
going to get, you can give it to us. Yeah.
And a quick catch up with Mum as well, because I know a lot of you have asked about Mum and how she's doing. So she's had a radiation treatment. She's now doing chemotherapy in a tablet form, fighting like an ox. She really is. She's so strong and she's very determined. And she's talking about going over to the UK and Europe next year, which is brilliant because...
And that's why we just want to keep it lighthearted with that
positive
in mind coming up into Christmas. So yeah, we can just enjoy
Looking
that sort
forward
of time with
to a
everybody.
family Christmas together.
Yeah.
So once again, thank you so much for everything, all the support, all the lovely messages, all the lovely comments that you've sent us regarding Mum and me and Bri. As always, I just want to say, I can't say thank you enough. It's really, really touching. It's wonderful. And I appreciate and love you for doing that so much. So thank you.
Yeah. So I think that's it for the wrap up for this one, and look forward to seeing you next time. So kia kaha, stay strong, ki'u, stay true, and we'll speak to you in the new year.
Okay, speak to you soon.
Hello.
Yes, yeah.
Is there anything between me and you that you can think of that you think, oh God, I wish I hadn't said that to her? Let's have a little game. You try and remember. No, come on. You
Yeah.
try and, it's good to have games when you're married. It keeps the
Yeah.
relationship fresh.
Right.
You try and play this little, get undressed.
Okay, I am.
Put your pants on. Put your pants on for this one. No, try and remember something that's happened in our relationship, and I'll tell you if I remember it the way you'll remember it. I'm sorry to put you on the spot like this, because this really is putting you on the spot.
I think